Well, a warning now to all drivers out there who put their foot on the pedal a little bit too hard. If you're caught speeding just 1 mile per hour over the limits in future, you could be nicked. Yes, and a new report to be published tomorrow, a group of MPs are calling for speed tolerances to be removed, meaning no more getting away with driving at 24 miles an hour in a 20 mile an hour zone. Well, I'm joined now by Nicholas Lyes, who's the Director of Policy and Standards at RoadSmart. Good afternoon to you, Nicholas. This is the sort of thing that will make people's heads rotate. Listening to the Patrick Christie show today, another day, another shot fired in the war on motorists. But what on earth is behind this?
Well, this is an MP's report. This is an all-party parliamentary group that have published this. And, frankly, we have two issues with it, really. Firstly, what we don't want to have is a situation where drivers are looking down at their speedometer rather than looking around at what's going on at the road ahead. And secondly, many police forces will already have speeding tolerance thresholds, and those are there because actually, it's quite important to remember that sometimes what is on the speedometer isn't what is read on the speeding gun that the police or the speed camera that the police are using. So if we have a situation whereby somebody is being fined for going 1 mile an hour over the speed limit, then potentially you could have all of these cases coming to court where drivers are disputing this because of certain inaccuracies that might be in place. So, of course, it's really important that drivers stick to the speed limit. They are there for a reason. We want to see responsible and safe drivers on the road. But at the same time, I think the current system works okay. It's not perfect, but I think it's pretty effective.
Nicholas, that was a cheeky little bit of advice there. The calibration of speed cameras could be a handy little rearguard action against people who get a ticket if this comes into case. Of course, people who are in favour of speed limits would say it's about road safety. It's about keeping people alive, particularly in impacts in 20-mile-an-hour zones, although reports, an RAC report, said that 20-mile limits have little impact on accidents. What's the truth about that?
Well, 20 mile an hour speed limits are there because quite clearly people, local authorities, for example, will want to slow people down. There is some debate, though, about their effectiveness. The reason why there is a debate about their effectiveness is because the statistics show that actually compliance with 20 mile an hour speed limits is poor, and it's actually been getting poorer for many years. Now, part of the reason for that is because local authorities have taken to imposing blanket limits without doing any effective work on the layout of the road, for example, no traffic islands, no speed cushions, no speed cameras. Now, if you are going to have a 20 mile an hour limit, you should make sure that that 20 mile an hour limit is enforced, and also that drivers know the reason why it is there. We at RoadSmart, for example, we think that 20 mile an hour speed limits are a force for good, but they have to be targeted in the right areas. There has to be a reason behind them. Otherwise, you're just slowing traffic down for the sake of it. And actually, what you're doing is you're potentially giving people, cyclists, pedestrians, etc., a false sense of security because they think that the speed limit is 20 miles an hour, but drivers are ignoring it. So I don't think that this current situation we've got is tenable.
Yeah, Nicholas, and a 20 mile an hour limit might start impacting a few of those e-scooters that seem to zoom around at speeds fast on that. And in fact, cyclists as well, but they won't get nicked because they're not registered. But back to the 20 mile an hour limit, which I think particularly is of concern. At the moment, this is just a report, but these reports tend to be a way of softening us up, don't they? They float this out there, they put it out, and then the next thing you know, local authorities put this into practice because, let's face it, being a cynic for a moment here, Nicholas, motorists are a soft target. They're a cash cow that are being milked dry via increased fines, even when it's just 1 mile an hour above a limit.
Well, I mean, what I would like to see, and what we do at RoadSmart, for example, is we give people driver training courses, we give riders courses as well. And when you look at the statistics, when it comes to speeding, for example, the government's own report that was published just a couple of years ago suggests that actually the effectiveness of driver speed training speed awareness courses, should I say, are more effective than the driver being issued with a fine and points on their license. So actually, if the government is going to look at this, firstly, what they should do is they should publish an updated road safety strategy. That's something that we as a charity want to see. We want to see safer roads. And secondly, they should look at this on a more holistic basis. This isn't just about dishing out fines. This is about actually educating drivers about why speed limits are there and how to drive safely. And that's something that we can offer at RoadSmart. But there is a whole host of things here that need to be looked at, not least e-scooters, 20 mile an hour speed limits. I think the balance that we've got at the moment is probably wrong. So we need to have a look at things in a far more structured and measured manner, let's say.
It's interesting when you look at the 20 mile an hour limits. One of the fascinating findings of this RAC report is that they do have an impact because traffic volumes decrease. Because motorists learn where these areas are and they simply go around them. It's a bit like a neighbourhood watch scheme. It doesn't solve crime, it moves crime. People learn where the cameras are, they slow down, and they avoid the area altogether. So does it actually have an impact, or is it just moving the issue elsewhere where there aren't cameras?
Well, I think there's probably a bit of both there. So traffic will move depending on where the driver believes it's more comfortable for them to drive effectively. But I think that no driver will have a problem with a 20 mile an hour speed limit outside of a school, outside of a hospital, or on a high street where there's a very high density of pedestrianised people there or cyclists on the road, etc. I don't think there's an issue with 20 mile an hour limits there. But when you're slowing people down with blanket speed limits, and we know, for example, in Wales, that a blanket 20 mile an hour speed limit is about to come in. I think when you have situations like that, drivers just grow a little bit frustrated by what they see is not really much thought that's been put into 20 mile an hour policy.